Hello, everyone. For common error number 4, I forgot to write the 4 up there. But anyways, yes, the common error. Let's read the question. When did you trip to Canada? When did you trip to Canada? Okay, so let's look at the word trip first. Trip is being used as a noun in this question. And a trip, it can mean, trip has a couple of meanings. It means to fall over something. So yeah, you trip over something, something catches your foot and you fall down. But it's also a noun for a long journey or vacation. You travel to a destination and then you come back. That is a trip. So we're using it as a noun in this question, and you cannot, we're using did, so we're needing an action here in this question. So we need to turn the word trip and we need to turn this noun into a verb. And to do that, to turn trip into a noun, we need to turn it into when did you take when did you take a trip? When did you take a trip to Canada? When did you take a trip to Canada? So again, we're using to. This is being used as a preposition because we're using this as a verb, take a trip. So take a vacation, kind of, and then, towards the country. So that's why we're using the preposition to here. So yes, this is what you want to ask. When did you take a trip to Canada? Now, there are other verbs you can use here. You don't need to say take a trip. Maybe that's a little too long. Maybe you want something a little easier. Well, you can say this. You can say, when did you go to Canada? When did you travel to Canada? When did you visit Canada? See, all of these verbs that are in the book, they're gonna get the same meaning across, which means, when were you in this country? So this is going to be this of course is the past tense form. So if I asked you, when did you take a trip to Canada? I'm wanting you to answer, the time that you took the trip to Canada. Maybe you would say, oh, I took a trip to Canada 10 years ago. So you would answer it like that. Um, Now you can also ask this and kind of be in the present continuous sense. In a way, it's going to be more, it's going to be future tense. But you could say, if you want to ask this, if you're asking somebody when you plan on taking a trip, here in the near future, you can say this, when are you when are you taking a trip? So we're kind of covering the past tense form here. Now, if we want to ask someone, if I want to ask you when you plan on going to Canada in the near future, in the very near future, well, I can just ask you kind of in the present continuous sense. I can say, when are you taking a trip to, and I'm just going to leave that blank. It can be any country. So I can ask you, when are you taking a trip to, then I can state the country. So I can say, when are you taking a trip to Korea? So I'm just pretty much asking in the near future, when are you taking a trip to Dubai, Korea, Canada, America, London, wherever you want to go? So when are you taking a trip to America? Now, I can also take out this because I'm using taking a trip. So taking a trip means any trip, means when are you taking a trip to Canada? It just means I'm pretty much asking when are you taking your next trip to Canada? Let's just say you've been to Canada before and you go back and forth a lot to Canada. So I'm just asking, just in general, when are you taking a trip? Now I can take out here and I can replace it with that. So if I use that, this means that you have been mentioning this trip a lot. Oh, I want to go to Canada. I want to go to Canada. I love Canada. I'm so interested in Canada. I want to study in Canada. Then I may ask you, since I hear you talk about it all the time, I would ask you, when are you taking that trip to Canada? So if we're using that, then it's kind of something that the person who wants to go, that the subject in this question, it's something they've mentioned constantly, so you hear about it all the time. Now, again, you don't have to use the take a trip form. You can use when are you going to America? When are you traveling to Canada? When are you visiting Korea? So again, you have different variations that you can use um, to ask this question. So that is going to end this lesson, and thank you very much for following along.